on the top of the tower up there, and I heard you fire up, and I spun around and looked at my watch. I saw 1:04. So by my watch, you made it, but you cut it pretty darn close, my friend.
We don't like cutting it that close, but, you know, that's teamwork. The guys weren't able to run with their cowling on. It's a beautiful new cowling. But, hey, you know, we did what it took to put the boat on the top of the box, and we're back. We're back. So get ready to see a little bit more of that old orange boat.
We'll be ready to go. It's good to see you, my friend. You take care. That's it, and good luck the rest of the weekend.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And hey, while we're here, you know, I have to thank Stegen Structural Concrete, Lavish Roots Catering, and most of all, the Flood guys. The Flood guys are opening up their business in Eastern Washington now. They're launching their business over here. They've been in Western Washington forever. It's a great business. You have a flood damage, you need to call the Flood guys. They'll race to your service.
Very, very good. Thank you, my friend. All right. Now he's got that part of the driver's situation figured out. Make sure you thank the sponsor. So Steve Huff.
He did extremely well.
Yeah, and he's a terrific guy. And he's, you know, the one thing I didn't say that I do many times in that situation is you don't have to always be the fastest boat on the water, but it sure helps if you're legal. And he apparently was the only legal one of the first three, so good run for them.
All right, we move right into some qualifying now for the H1 Unlimiteds.
Jeff Bernard's looked very good the first two times down here in turn 1 and 2. Very smooth, very good speed coming out of the exit pin.
Yeah, our first boat on the course is the 1918 Oberto Super Salami. The boat owned by the city of Madison. Jeff Bernard in the cockpit. And the first lap, 157.714. Lap number 2, 158.887. Can he get to 160, Kelly Cheatwood, Tire Factory turn 2?
He looked really good. Looked like he picked up the speed a little bit, so it'll be interesting. Big rooster tails that came through here next in the pin going down the back straightaway.
You know, the boat is mostly white, but then you've got the fairing, and each one a different color. One, so the inside is green, the outside is red, and it's that metallic paint, and the sun will glint off it as it comes to you and away from you. It's a different fairing that lights up, and it's just so bright. It's just amazing to see. Let's see what this third lap is going to be. A 159.546 miles per hour on the third lap in qualifying for the 1918 with Jeff Bernard.
Just a little fun fact on that boat that's out there on the water. That was the boat that Jimmy Shane did run 2017. He qualified in 2017 at only 157.
Well, that was, I mean, it was here.
Yes,
there was the last time that he would drive that boat.
Yes. So
because they went to Savior and he hopped into the new boat.
Right, exactly. So 157, so we've already piped up. So they've done a lot of work to that boat, and they've got a two more miles an hour on it just in qualifying. Can you imagine what they're going to do during heat racing?
Well, and it also tells a story about the driver, Jeff Bernard, and how he is ready to be a part in the H1 Unlimited discussion and make a difference in that point standing as we move through the rest of the season.
Yeah, you'll remember, too, though, on that. He may have qualified at 157, but he also came out. In the morning and laid down 63. So this thing's always been fast. It's a rocket, and it just seems to be so solid on the water all the time. And you guys started to talk about Jeff Bernard.
Yeah, he is definitely a driver to be reckoned with.
Well, he has looked good all day. When he was out here running this morning, just getting, you know, the feel of the course, he's just, the speeds were the same. He felt very comfortable. And this time around, he was coming very close in lane number 1 to the exit pin. So he's kind of dialed in, it seems like, from what he learned this morning.
This is our first H1 Unlimited hydroplane qualifying session, and it will last until about 3:35 this afternoon. Then we'll get ready for some vintage boats to return out on the Columbia River course. And then we'll have some more 5-liter heats. One more 5-liter heat scheduled for 4:25 this afternoon. The GPs will be out for their dash for cash at 4:40, and then we'll wrap up the coverage for the day here at the river for the H1 Unlimited dash for cash, scheduled to start at 5:05 p.m. Special thanks to our coverage title sponsor, Farmers Exchange in downtown Kennewick. They feature the Tri-Cities mixed lawn seed. It is trademarked, and it's made here. And it's designed for our summer heat and summer stress, and it stays lush and green all year. It's Farmers Exchange in downtown Kennewick, online, mowerhome.com. And I hear piston-powered boat heading over to Kelly Cheatwood in turn number 2, Tire Factory.
Jimmy King in the Grigg Ace Hardware 610 Kona. And he had a good session out of this morning when he was running. It sounded really good and had some good times. I think about 148, 149, Michael?
Yes. So we'll see what Jimmy King can do, and this may be the only race that we'll hear about Jimmy King and the U3 out on the race course this season. That's unfortunate. It's such a pretty boat. Heading up the backstretch, we'll catch him on the clock.
Michael, have you got me up there? Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, I found my way down to the dock, and our Glenn Boggin is standing right above that gorgeous 1918, and Glenn, just jump in when
All
you...
right. Hey, yeah, we're talking with Jeff Bernard. Jeff, boat looks good. Looks like it was handling pretty well. How'd it feel out there?
Oh, man, it's an absolute dream to be a part of this whole deal. Can't think. Madison Racing, Charlie Grooms, Larry Oberto, the company for sponsoring us. Mike and Larry Hansen are the best in the business, and all these crew guys. It's really makes my job easy jumping into this thing. It's been a while since I've been in a boat, let alone not really ever been in a really good boat like this, and it's just awesome climbing in this thing and seeing the speeds like this right off the bat. We still got more to go. That's the exciting part.
Yeah, talk to us. They were mentioning up at the barge that the last time this boat ran was 2017, but with the speeds north of 150, it doesn't seem like it's missed a beat.
Well, Jimmy ran this boat last year at up until they debuted the new boat here. I think they even raced this boat here as HomeStreet, and then Seattle they started running the new boat. So it ran last year. This boat combination in it, they've seen 166 here. Motor's a little bit different now than it was then. We're working our way. Every time we go out, we get faster and faster. Super comfortable driving the boat. It's unbelievably the work that Mike and Larry Hansen did on these things. That's why they're the best in the business, and I'm fortunate to be a part of it.
Now, you're all smiles. Your crew is giving you a round of applause when you came over here. Is there anything to work on, or are you just going to go find some shade and drink some Gatorade?
Well, we're going to go up in the truck, look at the data, and see where the fuel is, if we can get any little bit more or propeller. We'll let Mike and Larry make that call, and we'll be back out the second round and try to get over that 160 range. Can't remember in my career if I've ever even been over 160. When we used to run 4.3, I think I did it once. So to even be around that number in qualifying is new to me. So super appreciative. Like I said, Oberto, our sponsor, Larry, and Charlie. I can't thank them enough for bringing me on board. It's a dream come true. I'm living a dream right now.
Well, we'd love to be part of that dream if you hit 160 today.
Thank you.
All right, again, Jeff Bernard running the 1918 Oberto very nicely out here.
Special thanks to our pit reporters. A1 Refrigeration brings you all the information from Glenn Boggin and Brad Luce in the Neil F. Lampson pits. A1 is your indoor air quality specialist with full duct cleaning and dryer vent cleaning abilities. That's A1 Refrigeration. First lap out on the course for the 3. The Turbinator, 121.202 miles per hour. Lap number 2, 148.573 miles per hour. And it looks like Jimmy was in maybe lane number 3 all the way around the course as he's dumping into turn number 1 now.
Yeah, but he's pulled his foot. He's going to bring it back. You only get 3 laps here.
Well, this would be his 3rd.
Right. Well, I thought he had the first one at 120.
Yeah, 121 and then a 148, so he's got one more to go.
Okay. I'm sorry. He pulled his foot right when he got to the entrance bend of the buoy here, and he's not running real hard up the backstretch.
He isn't. I wonder if he's hearing something maybe he doesn't like, or seeing something that he doesn't like on the controls.
I got a nickel says he's just doing what they do always.
Take it easy.
Come out, run 1 hot lap, and then just use the next 2 laps maybe for just to test something out. But they usually don't come out and run 3 really hard laps.
He's cutting across the ESCO electric infield.
Okay.
Yeah, he's taking the 5-liter course turn.
What was the fast lap again?
148.573.
148.5. The crew didn't know what it was. I was just passing it along to him. Thank you, Michael.
Certainly.
Yeah, he ran in lane number 1 when he ran the second lap. First lap, he was way out in lane number 5.
Yeah.
This time he was in lane number 4, but when he got the good speed 148, he was in the first lane, and he really had it tight to the buoys around the turns down here.
And as mentioned, News Radio 610 KONA proud to be on board with Jimmy King and the 3.
And I'm up on that dock, so when he comes back in, I'll grab Jimmy. And I say that to you, Glenn Boggin, because I know you've got you're down on the big dock, and you got more color about ready to come out down there.
Yeah, it looks like Jamie Nielsen's going to be pushing off from the dock here in just a matter of moments.
Health and safety tips on News Radio 610 KONA brought to you by JMC Motorsports, your local Honda dealer. Honda motorcycles are so much fun. Reminding you to be safe this boat race weekend. Stay hydrated. That means water, sunscreen, shade when you can get it.
You know, as Jimmy King comes back here to the dock in the 3, one thing we haven't talked about is he drives boats other than just this one, and he just recently, I think it was 2 weekends ago, was victorious at the regatta in Valleyfield, Quebec. And that was driving his HRL hydroplane, the Hydroplane Racing League up in Canada. It is an extremely competitive league, and to win Valleyfield is akin to winning a Gold Cup. And he was a pretty happy guy. He dominated the field in the final heat, so he's had some fun this summer besides what he's doing right now aboard this big, beautiful, bright red turbinator.
Hey, Brad,
I'm
going to interrupt you for a second. It's actually going to be Andrew Tate who's pushing off from the dock first.
Yeah, and it should be that way because they're coming out in inverse order of their national high points. And so you might want to check, well, one of the first, I think the first boat on the qualifying ladder was the 99.9, but we know they've got the hatch problem because they don't have any points this year. Neither does the 3 that just ran, and neither did the 1918 with Jeff Bernard. Those are the 3 boats that haven't yet run this year, so they have no points. They're the first 3 to come out. And then Andrew Tate, not used to seeing him toward the bottom of the qualifying ladder, at least as far as coming out. But remember, he skipped Guntersville, so he's down on points as well. But you're going to see a mighty fast speed. This one will be interesting versus what Mr. Bernard laid down with the 159.
Special thanks on our coverage brought to you in part by Local 598 Plumbers and Steam Fitters and Signatory Contractors, community-minded and community-involved. Like Bikes for Tykes and a special viewing area for Gold Star families here at Columbia Cup. That's Local 598 Plumbers, Steam Fitters, Signatory Contractors. Along with our start-finish line sponsor on KONA, Bosch Thermador Appliances. Pick any 3 qualifying Bosch appliances. Get up to a 15% rebate. Bosch appliances offer perfection in every detail, and that's what Andrew Tate is looking for. And I know it was a tough decision for the U1 team, Delta RealTrac, to not travel to Guntersville, Brad. And they missed that race, but they did show up in Madison, and it was a tense moment in that final heat in Madison, Indiana, when Andrew Tate kind of caught a little bit of a roller and went into a hole.
That's ugly down there in that first turn in Madison, and that hole stepped up and bit him.
Brad, it looked like he caught something down in the first turn when he came. He got a little airborne there. It looked like crossover here.
Very good. And he's on lap 1, correct, Michael?
That is correct. We'll get him on the clock. He's coming out of the Buffalo Brothers turn number 4. We call a 4-corner super speedway here in the Tri-Cities. Onto the start-finish line and across the Bosch Thermador appliance start-finish line, and a 154.051 miles per hour headed down into Agri-Service turn number 1, Brad.
Yeah, and this one's going to be quicker than the last one. He, as we were just talking there, he didn't have a very good run through this lower corner the first time. He's tightened it up a little bit, much smoother through it, and he is already off the corner. Look for something to move up into the higher 150s on this one, guys.
In 2017, he qualified at 160. Last year at 159, so we'll have to see what he does.
At a Tire Factory turn number 2, Brad.
No, I'm just going to throw in there real quick. I'm going to jump in here when I can get Jimmy King. He's still standing on the deck of the boat, going one-on-one with his crew and owner, Ed Cooper. So keep an eye on Andrew, top end of the race course.
He's in Freedom Equipment Rentals turn number 3 into Buffalo Brothers turn number 4 at the exit pin and onto the front stretch. And this lap looks a little bit hotter. Last lap, 154.051 miles per hour. Let's see what we have. 156.133, so he's climbing a couple mile an hour each time around. We'll see what he does in his final lap out here in our first qualifying session for the HAPO Columbia Cup.
Yeah, and it's a good thing you emphasize qualifying session because we had some hot laps this morning, but that was in testing. They do not count as far as toward your qualification and earning points. And there are points on the table during the qualification session for the faster speeds, but you got to do it during this time on the water. So these count now, and right now it's Mr. Bernard sitting atop the ladder. We'll see if Andrew can knock him down. It only takes 1 lap. They take the fastest of your 3.
And at turn number 3, Freedom Equipment Rentals. Wall of water comes off that skid fin, or do we call it a turning fin? to Buffalo Brothers turn number 4 and onto the front stretch. And Andrew Tate in the 1 Delta RealTrac 158191. So Jeff Bernard holds on to our top qualifying spot for now.
All right, and perfect timing. Jimmy King has finally decided he's going to get off the boat and come out here and talk to us instead of talking to the crew. They had quite the conversation, but I think they've got to be smiling. Not the fastest lap, but I don't think they were out there trying to do it. Jimmy, I think that was a pretty good run. You're pretty happy with it at 148.
Yeah, we're okay with it. I mean, of course, we got to go faster, but I mean, from the last few years getting here, blowing up 2 motors by now, we're still on the same motor, running respectable. You know, we got to find another 10 miles an hour to be in the game, and I'm confident that the Grigg's Ace Hardware U3 we'll find it before Sunday afternoon.
Well, and this is just day 1. I mean, this is your first race, first day, so you're not going to win it today.
No, but you can make them think about it.
You certainly can. And we always say you can't win it today, but you can lose it if you do something stupid.
Exactly. But, yeah, all in all, I can't complain about it. Things are going well. We're going to put it on the trailer, try another motor for tomorrow, and see where we end up.
I would not be doing my job if I didn't first congratulate you on that Valleyfield victory. That was awesome.
Well, thank you. The Steeler guys have given me a great piece of equipment, and I fit right in with the crew, or they fit in with me, however it went. And, you know, it took us a couple races to get our feet wet, and it came alive, and can't thank them guys enough.
Well, I was waiting for you to get off the boat. I made the comment that winning Valleyfield's kind of like winning a Gold Cup here in the States. Did I oversell it, or is it really that big?
And for the GP class or limited racing, you didn't oversell it at all. But a guy that's been trying to put his name on the Gold Cup for 20 years, it's still frustrating. But I've got my name on that Gold Cup, or the Valleyfield Cup 4 times, but still not the same as the one for the big boat.
Well, maybe that'll happen someday. Thanks a lot, my friend, and good to see you out here with the red boat.
We're glad to be here. Thanks for everything.
You bet. Jimmy King, the Turbinator. That's what it says on all the team shirts, right on the front, big block letters.
Jimmy Nelson heading your way, Michael, in the U11.
Yep, and there's a little conversation going on about this because he's not a qualified driver, Brad. Jamie Nielsen is out during qualification time. And well, we heard that he would be held until the end of qualifying if there was time left to get out there and run laps over $1:30 that he needs to achieve to become a qualified driver. But you can't qualify if you're not qualified.
But he's looking good.
He looks great
down here.
You're making it pretty hard to argue with you, so I'm going to shut this mic off and I'm going to go find an official.
Well, Kay Brewer's upstairs doing the same thing, so
okay, good. You know,
we may get redundant information, but that's okay.
You got Rick Sandstrom up there. He'll be the one who will make the call, but he looks good up the backstretch, top end of the race course, turn 3.
Yep, that's our Freedom Equipment Rentals turn number 3 into Buffalo Brothers turn number 4, four-corner super speedway. And I will say this, and I've enjoyed spending time with Tom Thompson before. Such a likable guy, and maybe one of the friendliest drivers that you'd ever want to meet in any classification of boat racing. We certainly miss Tom here. But Jamie's out there now, and he hit a little rough patch after he went over the Bosch Thermidor start-finish line and held it nicely on the water and brings it into Agri-Service turn number 1 and over to Kelly and Tire Factory turn number 2, and it's a solid run. With first lap, 148.497 for Jamie Nielsen in the 11.
And he's flying out of the exit pin here on turn 2, Michael, looking very good, very strong. Could have another little higher run this time in the timing because he looked very strong, didn't back off the pedal at all.
So I would say at this point after his run earlier this morning that he's got maybe 5 laps over 130 miles per hour. We don't have an exact count, but Kay is back with information from upstairs.
He does have his 10 laps in over 130 is what he has to do. He has to do 15 laps total. 10 of those which have to be 15 or 130 over. Right now what he's doing is he cannot use this as part of his qualifying laps. This at this point in time is qualifying the boat to make it into the heat racing.
Okay.
So he is actually getting the times, but he as a driver is not qualified to drive, but the boat itself will be qualified to race.
All right,
hey, Michael.
So we separate the boat from the driver. Last lap, Glenn, 150.122 for Jamie Nielsen.
Wow, he'll be happy with that, yeah, to touch the 150 mark.
Go ahead, Glenn.
Hey, Michael, we're down here with Andrew Tate. Andrew, good run out there in the U1. How'd the boat handle the water?
Good. The first lap was a little interesting. I think the U3 took an interesting line. The run before me there, I might have had some big piston-powered holes out there waiting for me, but it cleaned up a little bit after that, and we got faster and faster. So third lap, there's a 158. You know, we'll take it.
Okay, and that progression, speeding up each lap, that's got to feel good, even if you're not at the speed you want to be.
Yeah, for sure. Progress. You know, if you're running your fastest lap, first one, you're probably not doing something right the second and third one. So as you acclimate out there and kind of understand exactly where you need to be and how fast you want to be going and how much you turn the wheel, what's the canard wing doing. So yeah, the third lap should be the fastest. I'm not doing my job if it isn't.
I know you guys still want to break down the data, but just for you out there, what did you feel that maybe you want to change next time you guys get in the water?
Well, we're always looking for more speed, no matter what. We'll look at the data and hopefully understand a little more specifically what can change. I think we got one or two different propellers we could try, and then maybe here we can adjustment, but everything feels great.
All right, Andrew, we'll let you go. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you for that update, Glenn, and we'll give you an update from the start-finish line here, the Bosch and Thermador Appliances start-finish line, and the last lap on the course for Jamie Nielsen in the 11. J&D's presents Reliable Diamond Tool, 150.592 miles per hour, his fastest lap of this qualifying session to try to qualify the boat.
Correct. They are qualifying the boat. He still has to get his 5 more laps in qualified driver to be able to go into the first heat of the day.
Excellent. It was 3 more laps in excess of 100 miles per hour is qualifying session that he has achieved against that.
It does not count.
It won't count for him.
It does not. I went and asked the officials, do these laps count towards his qualifying? And they said no, because the only part that this is doing is qualifying the boat. So there's possibly going to be a test session after qualifying, and we're hopefully going to get him back out there to be able to get his 15 laps.
Well, this qualifying window is open until 3:35 this afternoon. That's quite a long time. Do we have anybody else lined up to head out, guys?
I just got, the 98 is in the water. Looking down, looks like the 440 is in the water.
And they just put down the U7.
Yeah, the 7's just about ready to hit the water. It's got some...
Before we get to that, we're going to take a quick timeout on News Radio 610 KONA and 610KONA.com. Our coverage is brought to you in part by Pringles. If you have a problem with dirt and dust, Pringles is the name you can trust. Pringles Power Vac for furnace and duct cleaning. Also, Kennewick Auto Body. Whether you need automotive repair, auto restoration, or painting, they have affordable solutions. Kennewick Auto Body. And Highlands Organic Market, reminding you to drink plenty of water and reapply sunscreen while you're out in the heat this summer during the Water Follies weekend. And of course, our title sponsor of our coverage, Farmers Exchange in historic downtown Kennewick. Special savings now, ready, set, mow on your next push or riding mower. You can find it at Farmers Exchange with free pickup and delivery in the Tri-Cities and online at mowerhome.com. Take a time out. More of our coverage coming up from the HAPO Columbia Cup next.
A free Thermador dishwasher.
My mom knows what the thing's going.
Those laps counted toward your qualification attempt. Understand they do indeed. And so you're now sitting at 13 laps. You only need 2 more. I got a hunch we'll see you later on in this qualifying session.
Oh yeah. We're gonna hit the trailer, do a systems check, everything checks out, we'll be back out there.
Well, it's really good to have you here. Welcome back to the Unlimited Ranks. I know you're excited about it. You got to be excited for Sunday. Good luck, my friend.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right,
Michael, here
Jamie.
comes the U98 Graham Trucking, American Dream.
That's it, Corey Peabody. So we had an interesting discussion down here about whether or not those laps counted, and I was told very emphatically by the owners and officials who were standing here, oh yes, absolutely, they do count. So they're looking at it that they had those 10 laps, they tacked on 3 more, and they've got only 2 more to get. That's how they're looking at it.
Well, I guess it just depends who you ask.
It just depends on which tower you're standing on.
It's just, yeah, it's kind of like when you were a kid, Mom didn't give you the right answer.
Right, go ask Dad. Dad'll let you. That's true.
Oh, gosh. So I think our Glenn Vaughan, are you down by Dustin Eccles? Yep, there he is. He's waving at me way down at the
Yeah, as soon as Dustin gets on the dock here, I'll grab him.
Boy, it's a beautiful boat, the 98 Graham Trucking American Dream. Corey Peabody across the start-finish line. And Brad, he's been a successful story so far this season on the H1 Unlimited circuit.
He really has. First of all, he's just a great young man out of Kent, Washington, he and his family. I met him, as Kay knows, Region 10 board racing here in the Northwest. And I first got to know Corey when he was driving his little 1-liter, boat number 5, the Fast Tracks. And the first time I met him was Moses Lake. He entered 4 heats of competition and took 4 first-place finishes. And I looked at him and I said, you got larger aspirations? And he says, yeah, I want to drive that big boat. Well, he got his chance a couple of years ago, got qualified and so forth. And then this team got pulled together by Rob Graham. And Rob basically said, if you guys can get this boat on the water and make it run consistently, he says, I'll let you guys take it racing. They took it down to Guntersville, and they made it race, they made it run, and they've been doing really, really well. He's coming down to put a qualifying lap on the clock. I'll be anxious to hear what it is, but good to have Corey Peabody out here on the Columbia River.
All right, and what an investment by Rob Graham to field a second team.
Yeah, it's...
Hey, Brad, 131.897 on the first lap.
And he's got more in that boat than the 131, but that puts him as a qualified boat in the show because you got to do a minimum lap at 130.
Hey, Brad.
Yeah.
We got Dustin Eccles here. Dustin, how did things feel out there on the water?
Every run's been getting better. We started off this morning and the boat's handling great, but the speed wasn't there. And we found a bunch of speed that time. And now we just need to get the boat settled down a little bit. It's getting too light on me, and I'm really fighting keeping it on the water. So there's more speed left. We just got to keep going in the right increments.
Yeah, they were talking to Barge that you had a really good second lap, but it seemed like you backed off on the throttle. Was it just the control, or was there something else?
A little bit of both. You know, I'm pushing it really hard trying to run these fast laps in this little boat. If it's not right, I don't want to force it. You know, if we crash this thing, that's a lot of work for the crew and for me. And if it's not there yet, we're not going to force it. So take your time.
All right. Congratulations, Dustin. Thanks for the time.
Again, Dustin Eccles, top lap out there, 145.907 miles per hour. Lap number 2 for the 98 Graham Trucking across the Bosch Thermador start-finish line, another 131.806. So he lost about a little more than a half a mile per hour on that second lap, and he's heading into Agri-Service turn number 1, and then he'll be over to turn number 2, Tire Factory, and Kelly Cheatwood.
Well, he's coming out kind of wide here and comes back in the lane into 1, but he looked a lot faster this morning when he was out there running around and doing his trials. But he just doesn't seem to have the power, or at least trying to make the speed he's doing right now, or maybe saving the boat to get in the races tomorrow.
Well, and the other thing is sometimes you do make adjustments and they don't head the way that you would expect that they would.
Yeah, he looked a lot quicker this morning when he was out here running.
Head down to the pits and see if there's any other scuttle going on down there about who may be coming out next, guys.
Well, looking at the boats that are laying dockside, next up on the list is going to be the U7, formerly referred to as the Spirit of Detroit, but now referred to as Boitano Homes. And they've got the new graphics on the cowling. You'll see it when they come by. But I went down to check who was behind the wheel because they do have 2 drivers in that team. They have Bert Henderson, who's been driving the boat in competition this year, but they also have Patrick Howarth, and he is in town. So I did go down, and I couldn't see in the window, but I said, who's behind the wheel? And it is indeed Bert Henderson. And you talk about a team that's having a great year so far. They find themselves standing in 3rd place on the podium at Guntersville and 2nd place at the APBA Gold Cup in Madison. I was talking to boat owner Dave Bardish yesterday, and I said, you know, you've only got one more step on that podium. These guys have really, really been impressive. It's a bright red boat, looks just like J. Michael Kelly's ride, except Mike's now added that silver and black, and his boat is being set in the water. But the other red boat, turbine-powered, is the 7. It's got some blue and white striping on either side of the cowling, but I don't think you'll have too much trouble telling it apart from J. Michael Kelly because of the black and silver on Mike's.
Fast lap for Peabody would be 132.079 miles per hour in the 98 Graham Trucking American Dream.
Good for Corey.
132.079. But again, you know, sometimes you try a combination that just doesn't work for you. And as Kelly mentioned in Tire Factory turn number 2, it seemed like it was clear.
And you know that I tend to agree with that statement of Kelly's that I think it was faster earlier in the day, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No.
Because even if it's slower this time out in qualifying than it was earlier in the day, you still learned something. You're changing things every time, and if you change and you go the wrong way speed-wise, well, okay, you still learned something. You know that's not the answer.
Ratchet it back the other way.
I got a little sound here you guys will like. We heard Jimmy King talking about Valleyfield, a guy who knows Valleyfield very well, and the HRL circuit. Bert Henderson is away from the dock of the U7 of Boitano Homes. Coming over to you, Kelly.
He's getting up on plane as he heads this way, and what was interesting, Michael, with Graham Trucking American Dream, when that last lap he ran, you can see when he came by you down the start-finish line, he really seemed to pick up speed. He was really solid coming through 1 and 2 that time, and solid going down the back straight. So maybe he finally found something, just see what he could pick up some speed there.
So heading out of the pits will be Bert Henderson, Boitano Homes, and there's some local sponsors involved with this boat too, including Firehouse Subs, and you'll find there's a Firehouse Subs in Burbank, just out over the Snake River Bridge, and then out at the end of Clearwater there's a Firehouse Sub location at the Shell Sun Market Station. And if you haven't had a Firehouse Subs, a portion of the proceeds from all their sandwiches go to help with public safety efforts with firefighters and police in local communities. It's an awesome effort. And also John's Automotive and Allied Automotive on board with the 7 Boitano Homes. And Bert Henderson heading up the backstretch, bright red boat heading into the News Radio KONA turn number 3. That's brought to you by Freedom Equipment Rentals, and then into Buffalo Brothers turn number 4. And for the boat race fans in turn number 4, that is the party spot. If you haven't met them, take a trek up there during the day and catch that vantage point. We talk about turn number 2, where Kelly Cheatwood is on the bottom end of the course, but sometimes that racing right at the end of our Buffalo Brothers turn number 4 is just awesome when you have deck-to-deck racing coming right at you onto the front stretch.
Exchange on 610 KONA.
Put Apollo 11 on proper heading.
Here is Michael McDonald.
91 degrees, sunshine, very little wind, relative humidity a whopping 20%.
J. Michael Kelly in the U12 Graham Trucking, Michael's coming at you, and he's had 3 good runs down here so far. Looking very strong in the turns and coming down the back straightaway in the exit pin.
152.263 in the first lap out for J. Michael Kelly in the 12 Graham Trucking into Freedom Equipment Rental turn number 3. Slides into Buffalo Brothers turn number 4 in our 4-corner super speedway, and he is very close. Another nifty turn at the exit pin of turn number 4 onto the front stretch, and we'll catch him on his hot lap number 2 here in our qualifying session. Look at him trap the air underneath the sponsons at a 152.583 miles per hour, headed down into Agri-Service turn number 1, and our pit reporters.
Yeah, in typical J. Michael Kelly fashion, he's got a lot of air underneath that hydroplane. You watch Jeff Bernard come down in that 1918 Oberto, and the boat is just solid as a rock on the water. Mike likes to get the boat up a little higher, channel a little bit more air underneath it, and get the boat off the water. But boy, he's really flying it come down the front straightaway. Michael, you mentioned it as you watched him. He's got a lot of air underneath that 12.
Well, and the river conditions just perfect. You know, it's not flat. Remember earlier we mentioned it looked just kind of sticky out there. It doesn't look sticky right now. You can get some fast speeds on this river.
Absolutely. And I talked to Mike yesterday afternoon, and he just kind of looked at me. He says, we just got to find some more speed.
Yeah.
And it's not a matter of just tweaking something and finding more speed. You really have to go look for it. It's a treasure hunt. And when you find it, the boat will just take off.
152.744. So he was able to climb a little faster, but still not out of the 152s, backing off the throttle and heading down towards Agri-Service turn number 1, and probably batting back to our A1 refrigeration pit reporters. Anybody working on their equipment after, you know, I would imagine that some of the boats that went out and maybe moved backwards instead of forwards are probably working on their setups right now. One of those would have been the 440 with Dustin Eccles.
Yeah, they will. They will all, because they do get to go through this qualifying ladder a second time. So that was the first time through. They don't have to qualify a second time, but they do have the opportunity to run again. But, of course, we still have one more boat to go, and that is the U6, the Miss HomeStreet with Jimmy Shane. So far, they've been pretty much unbeatable. They were a winner down in Guntersville, taking a first-place finish over J. Michael Kelly. And I can tell you that Mr. Kelly came off the lower corner down there on lap number 1. He was about 2 boat lengths back at Jimmy, and Jimmy just slowly walked away from him the whole heat. He really was the class of the field. And then we got into that terrific boat race that you alluded to, Michael, at the Gold Cup in Madison, Indiana, where Andrew Tate showed up, and all of a sudden Tate was not only staying in Jimmy's mirrors, he was actually out in front of him until that hole down there in turn 1 stepped up and bit him. And the sling, or the line, is off the nose of the U6, the Miss HomeStreet, right now. So far, at both our races on the 2019 H1 Unlimited circuit, this boat has broken the course qualifying record. They did it in Guntersville. They did it in Madison, Indiana. I'm sitting here staring at the qualifying record here on this race course. I don't think we'll see it. The qualifying record here was set in 1999 by Dave Villwalk aboard the Miss Budweiser, 170.471 miles an hour. And, of course, the difference there being that was before the fuel restrictions.
Yeah.
And so, but, you know.
He would have had an N2, N3, N4.
Yeah, you'd have every N you could find in the alphabet. But there are some records here on this course which could fall this weekend, and we'll be talking about it. But right now, Kelly, you have got just a gorgeous, state-of-the-art unlimited hydroplane coming right over in your lap, and oh, can Jimmy make it go?
And he was making it go this morning when he was out here testing it, and it's a beautiful boat. It flies, and I'm sure we'll see some great timings the way the river is right now, and they're heading down to you, Michael, in the back straightaway.
Yeah, it's still difficult to call this team the U6, isn't it? After having the High Points Championship for how many years in a row. The Miss HomeStreet is out. And the second boat owned by the residents of the city of Madison, Indiana, Jimmy Shane, rather, heading to the back end of the course and up into Freedom Equipment Rental, turn number 3. And it seems like this boat has such a lower profile to some of the other boats that we saw out earlier, Kay.
I think that's the way that it drives. It's a lot flatter, but it's still packing the air underneath, but he's still getting the speeds. And just like Brad was saying, that he's knocking the competition out all year long. So he's out for revenge from last year.
Right. Last year did not go well.
No, that was a bad year last year for Jimmy. But, you know, he is a great guy, a great driver, a great sportsman. And, you know, him and Andrew have been fighting it out for years, but when it comes back to the pits, they're best buddies.
Flying out of turn 2, Michael, coming to you. That was a good turn, very solid through both of them, and heading back to you with good speed.
Heading up the back stretch, and just talking about the friendly competition, but that all goes away when you head out on the race course. And that was the highlights that we had a chance to see from Madison were just incredible, and how close Andrew Tate came when he hit that roller and flipped to the inside, and Jimmy Shane was inside of him.
Yes, exactly.
That was just really close.
The view that we had, I was watching, and I unfortunately wasn't there because I was at another boat race, but the view that you had, all of a sudden you thought for sure he ducked underneath the water because that boat disappeared in that hole.
All right, 159.238 miles per hour. Can he eclipse the 160?
He's going to do it right now, Michael McDonald. This is going to be your first 160 right here.
Looks very strong. Good all the way through the turn, the exit pin, Michael, and he's got good speed coming down your way.
Made it through Tire Factory turn number 2 and up the backstretch, and this is where he really starts to fly that boat. And we talked about this boat looking lower, but obviously when it comes off the exit pin at turn number 4 and we can see underneath the boat, you know he's packing that air underneath the sponsons.
Exactly right. It's also a big boat. It's over 32 feet long.
Here he comes into Buffalo Brothers turn number 4 at the exit pin. Really nice turn at the upper end of the course onto the front stretch. We'll catch him on the Bosch Thermador Appliances start-finish line, and we'll see if he can break that 160. I bet he does. 161.603 miles per hour.
Well, it was going to be an interesting conversation in the pit area if Jimmy Shane was not able to top Jeff Bernard when Shane's supposed to have all the good equipment. So there would have been an interesting conversation between those two. Watch this one. He's not done yet. He could be sniffing at 162 or maybe back to the 163 he did a year ago.
Boy, that speed up the backstretch is just incredible. He sloughed off a little in Tire Factory turn number 2, but it's just amazing how quickly he gets back into it and how that boat accelerates up the backstretch. Freedom Equipment Rentals turn number 3, wall of water off the skid pin, and already into Buffalo Brothers turn number 4 and to the exit pin now. What a great run at the top end of the course, onto the front stretch. We'll catch him one more time. Final lap of this qualifying run for Jimmy Shane, and a 161.463. So his lap number 2, the best, at 161.603 miles per hour. Not a bad run.
Not a bad run.
And who might be coming out next, Brad Luce?
I don't see a boat in the water, but I was actually grabbing some...
We're actually getting the 1918s off the trailer, and they're putting it back on the dock.
So there you go. We're going to start through the ladder now a second time.
Hey, Michael.
Yes.
Did you say that Jimmy ran 2 161s?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Yep, 161.603, the fastest. 161.463 would have been his final lap out there. We want to thank everybody that makes this possible. Farmers Exchange, our title sponsor, and right now the lowest prices of the year on all mowers. Why? It's Ready, Set, Mow at Farmers Exchange. You can find Toro, Husqvarna, Gravely, and a whole lot more. Ariens. And now is the time, I know it's difficult to think about, to pre-order your snow blowers because they're putting in the orders now for wintertime, and you don't want to get caught like most people did in February or March without one. Farmers Exchange, best service you can find downtown Kennewick on Canal and online at mowerhome.com. And I mentioned Gravely. They come with a 3-year warranty on their zero-turn riding mowers. Durability, dependability, and operator comfort. That's Gravely at Farmers Exchange. Also, thanks to our friends over at Grigg's Ace Hardware Stores. They've got everything you need for outdoor fun: coolers, camping, fishing gear, inflatables, summer fun. 4 locations and online, griggsonline.com. We'll take a time out. More of our coverage coming up on News Radio 610 KONA and 610KONA.com. Oh, no.
And from the Columbia River, it's the 2019 HAPO Columbia Cup. Presented by Farmers Exchange on 610 KONA. Here is Michael McDonald.
Alongside Kay Brewer, and down in the Neil F. Lamson pits, our pit reporters, thanks to A1 Refrigeration, Brad Luce and Glenn Boggin, and at Tire Factory turn number 2, Kelly Cheatwood in the Freedom Equipment Rental Lift. Back out on the course is the 1918 Oberto Super Salami with Jeff Bernard. We have found out some information, Brad. I don't know if you heard this, but earlier in the qualification session, there was a fuel flow violation for Jeff Bernard, and the 159.546 that he turned did not count. Also, we have found out that the fuel flow violation will wipe out the 152.744 that was turned in by Bert Henderson in the 7 Boitano Homes Firehouse subs.
Ouch.
So 2 fuel flow violations.
2 fuel flow violations. Well, you got Mr. Bernard back on the water again. So he, at this point, then is a time not recorded.
Ooh. I tell you what, the sun just glinted off the red fairing.
And it had me worried.
I thought it was something coming out of the turbine.
This is a beautiful wrap job on this Oberto boat. They did a wonderful job.
All right.
Looks like flashing lights on a squad car coming after you.
Well, I wouldn't know that, Kelly. How do you know?
I had that before.
All right, so a 152.101 in lap number 1. And remember, he turned a 159.546, but had a fuel flow violation in his first qualification run.
And he doesn't look very quick this time on this lap. He went wide out in lane 3 and brought it back into 1, but he doesn't seem to be going as fast as he was his first time out, and that might be the reason for the violation.
Well, it looks like he's having some boat handling issues, because if you watch that rooster tail, every time you see that rooster tail jump, it's
fluctuating.
It's completely fluctuating. So I'm wondering if they changed anything else on that boat, and he might be having troubles just controlling it, and that might be why his speeds are changing.
I look fine going into Freedom Equipment Rental turn number 3. And out of Buffalo Brothers turn number 4, and we'll catch him at the Bosch Thermador start-finish line now, and a 147.965. So, Kelly, I think you nailed it. And I don't know that he's really got his foot into it. And I'm guessing he's backing out the throttle now, heading down the front stretch. And, Kay, you may have dialed this one in. He doesn't have it dialed in.
Yeah, so maybe when we get Jeff off, get him out of the boat, just ask him what kind of changes he made between the 2 qualifying, because he's trying to get up there. He did qualify at second, but like you said, he's got the N2 violation.
So
did we get a speed? Sorry.
His fastest lap, 152.101.
152.101. Okay. So I was in a rather interesting discussion down here, because you mentioned fuel flow, and the question was, if we're going to talk about fuel flow, we've probably got fans on the river here that are saying, what do you mean? What happened? Fuel flow.
So glad you brought this up, Brad.
So, well, I was standing next to 2 guys who were doing their very best job to confuse me on what the answer was. And I tell you what, Scott Rainey and Nate Brown, oh boy, I have no clue what fuel flow means anymore, except you can't flow more than 4.2 gallons a minute through your motor. But if you ask either one of those 2 guys, he's going to tell you it depends on where you measure it, because it's really 4.1 depending on the atmospheric pressure. And at that point, I walked away. 4.2 gallons a minute. So when we say a fuel flow violation, it means that 4.2 gallons during their run. So
yeah, it just means they're dumping in too much fuel.
That's it. And we talked about it before Jimmy went out on the race course, Jimmy Shane, and we were talking about those previous records at $1.70. Well, that's when it was unlimited fuel flow. You could put a lot more juice into the motor. You could go a lot faster.
And Brad, can you explain to our listeners at home how exactly they can monitor that?
There are fuel flow valves in there, and then we're into the black box at that point. So there is flow control valves, which they can set. So they can set them to flow. But you heard one of the drivers say, I forget who it was, said, we'll go back and look at the data. Maybe we can turn up the fuel flow a little bit. They're talking about the fuel control valve before it goes into the motor. Well, so that's one piece to the puzzle. You can actually adjust that. But to your point, Kay, how do they monitor it? Well, now you're into the black box, which is every color but black. And there is recording data in there, many factors that are going on with the motor. the RPM, there is the N2, which if we have an N2 violation, we'll get into that discussion. But everything that's happening inside that motor is recorded. And so when the boat comes back to the dock, they take that black box out and they go up and go through all that. And then they can see just exactly how much fuel was flowing to that motor, and they can decide if you're staying within the limits or not.
And they put it up onto a computer screen through a USB drive. It's kind of like when you watch NASCAR and you can see the motor when the driver is on and off the throttle. So it's exactly what they see. This is also for watching N2 violations, but you'll watch all of the owners will grab that card, take it back to their trucks, and they evaluate exactly what's going on that boat too.
Yeah, it's the officials want to see it for official reasons and to make calls like fuel flow violations and N2. And now that we've stepped into the N2 mud puddle, the N2 is the output shaft of the turbine. And they basically have a rating, an RPM rating of that output shaft of the turbine, and you cannot exceed that by more than 110% for more than 3 seconds. And
hey, Brad.
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we've got Jeff Bernard here. And Jeff, to my untrained eye, it didn't seem like you were running nearly as fast that go-around as you were a little earlier today. What changed?
We had to turn it down a little bit because we went over fuel on that third lap the last time and lost our time. First 2 laps of that first run were good. The 1:59.3 was a good lap, and then that third one, when the engine heated up, we just went over fuel long enough to get that time tossed out. Went back out there. They turned it down. It's just weird. You can't see the rollers from here, but there's going into the first turns just the junk, and tried to float it over the top of it, got a little light, and tried to settle it down. It just screwed up the second lap. So,
how much does a violation like that weigh in the back of your mind when you're out there on the water?
Not bad. I mean, I knew they were going to have to turn it down, and I figured we still could run in the 1:59. It's just we lost the waters. Just you can't see it from here, but turn 1's just garbage for whatever reason. It was weird rollers, and that second lap, it's just disappointing. I don't know if I could have done anything better or not. I tried to float it over the top of it, and it was getting way too out of shape going in the corner to settle it back down, and don't want to obviously hurt anything for just qualifying. Hopefully it's legal and we're in the show, but I know we can do better, and kind of bummed about where we're going to sit in qualifying, but we're not a running all year national boat, so it's not the end of the world, but we got some on the table, and I feel like let the guys down by that last lap. It's just really irritating right now.
All right, well, we'll let you go get some water, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Jeff Bernard.
And our pit reports thanks to A1 Refrigeration. They do a whole lot more than that, duct cleaning and all kinds of different services. And if you're not comfortable at home, if the hot weather's getting to you, then you need to make sure that you call the comfort specialists at A1 Refrigeration. Heading into Tire Factory, turn number 2 is the one with Andrew Tate.
And he's heading your way down the back straightaway, Michael.
Owned by Lori and Mike Jones, Andrew Tate put out a 158.191 earlier today in the U1 Delta RealTrac. And Kay, what do you think Andrew's looking for? I mean, he's accomplished a lot so far at 158.
Well, you know he's going to want top qualifier, because anything he can do to keep above that blue HomeStreet boat is his main goal right now.
And points.
And points-wise, because he's chasing down points, because Jimmy Shane has just collected a ton of points. I believe, we'll have to ask Brad, because he was down there. I believe, was it Guntersville he had a perfect weekend?
Yes.
Who, Jimmy?
Yes.
No.
Madison?
He did not have if he had a perfect weekend, it would have been in Madison, because he and J. Michael Kelly jumped the clock in one heat in Guntersville.
Gotcha.
Andrew Tate's flying out of the turn 2, Michael, the exit pin, and looking very good and strong coming down your way, but had good speed through the turns.
Hey, Kelly, we heard Driver mention about the problems with the rollers down there. You seeing them?
I haven't seen them here in 2. They may be over there in 1, but 2 looks pretty smooth out here right now.
Well, usually the trouble spot's right by you, Kelly.
Well, that's what I'm saying. When he said that, I didn't really see a lot of them.
Yeah, Jeff Bernard was mentioning that heading into that turn 1, the Blue Bridge end of the course. A little bit of bumpy ride for Andrew Tate coming out of Buffalo Brothers turn number 4. Kind of like a bucking buffalo. All right, and he's trapping air underneath that. Look at him walking back and forth.
I'm not sure if you watched it during testing, but he almost flew it over right in front of you, right here in the start-finish line.
1:53.72 in a lap number 2 of his 3-lap qualifying session. Second time out on the Columbia River course in qualifying to Tire Factory Turn 2. Kelly.
And Michael, he was smooth in 2, but it was kind of choppy as he came around 1. The top of the turn, it bounded a little bit, but it settled down and he came out very smooth. But it looks choppy between 1 and 2 as you come around that top part of the course up there.
And you know, we're only talking about 1 boat out on the course right now. Wait until our Dash for Cash when we get 4, maybe 5 out there. That'll be exciting. Into turn number 3. And, oh boy, he hit some rough water at the top end of the course coming into turn number 4. Buffalo Brothers, little lumpy.
That might affect his time. That was a big hit at turn 2, coming out turn 2.
156.092 miles per hour. He's trying to get above 161.603 by Jimmy Shane in the U6 HomeStreet. I don't see it happening. Good solid lap into Tire Factory turn number 2 on our 4-corner super speedway.
Solid all the way through from the top of the turn out and the exit pin, Michael. So he had a good run down here. If he's got the speed going down there, you may have a good time. Let's see what happens in 3 and 4.
Yeah, let's watch that water at the top end of the course. I have no idea where that roller came from, but he sure hit it.
Oh.
He hit it head on.
It almost looked like Madison all over again.
Into Freedom Equipment Rental turn number 3. Looking smooth right to the middle of the corner into turn number 4 from Buffalo Brothers. And there's that rough water in that same spot just before the exit pin of Buffalo Brothers turn number 4 onto the front stretch. And he's tipping it back and forth. And across the start-finish line in a 155.209. So fast lap 155.092 in the second qualifying session for Andrew Tate at the U1 Delta RealTrac. That will not better his time earlier, which was 158.191. So water conditions, as we found out from Jeff Bernard, have become a little bit of a, I don't know if concern is the right word, but a factor in this late portion of the qualification session.
Exactly, and you were mentioning it because I remember this from years past, that turn 2 is the one that always seems to get everybody, so I'm not sure why turn 1 seems to be the issue, but...
Or turn 4 now.
Yes, yeah.
Never have seen problems up there, and there's just kind of an odd current that you can see up there. Special thanks to our friends over at Sun Pacific Energy. Shell Great Gas Giveaway is on now with over $1 million in prizes. Join the Fuel Rewards Network at the Sun Pacific Energy Shell Sun Market at Interstate 82 in Clearwater and Kennewick. Fill up and you could win, and stop in for their wonderful Firehouse subs, grab-and-go snacks, and more. That's the Shell Sun Market from Sun Pacific Energy, because local ownership does make a difference.
Brad, I'm going to ask you, we've not seen the 3 come back out. Is the 3 planning on coming back out?
They are not. I'm down on the other dock. I don't see anything moving. There's no cranes moving toward it. I honestly would be surprised if they did. It's just kind of modus operandi for those guys. Come out, run down their hot qualifying lap and put it on the trailer.
Who's on the dock ready to come out?
The 11 J&Ds presented by Reliable Diamond Tool. Jamie Nielsen is climbing into the cockpit, and by an unofficial count, 10 plus 3 equals 13, and 13's too short of 15, so I'm thinking we need 2.
Yeah,
Is that right, Dad? We need 2? That's right. Dad says we need 2. So the senior Nielsen.
Jim Nielsen.
He's here, and he's staying out of the way. He's standing about, 100 feet away from the boat right now. He's letting them do their thing, and I'm right over the boat here, and they'll strap Jamie in, and then let's see what else is going on. Glenn, I don't see anybody else moving right now. I don't see any cranes moving. This may be it for at least a few minutes.
Well, it's fun to watch some of these drivers come up in the ranks. Jamie Nielsen started racing, I believe, in 1997 in the outboard classes of A-Stock Hydro. You also have Jimmy Shane also started in the outboards and make their way up into the unlimited. So a lot of these guys started was just sitting here on the beach like you and I watching these boats, and then they move up into the higher classes. Jamie Nielsen has done a wonderful job. And, you know, this weekend particularly, he's double timing it because he's also going to go out in the Grand Prix 55. So he's going to have a busy weekend.
No doubt. No doubt. I asked, that's the first thing Brad and I were in the pits this morning. I said, is Jamie really going to race in the GPWs too? And he will. Double duty.
I believe he's done that before down in San Diego.
The good thing, looking for the silver lining here, when
the boats are close together?
The boats are right next door to each other. Now, when Greg Hop used to do that, Greg Hop would be up at that other dock, and I remember one time running full speed alongside Greg Hop doing the interview as he went from the Unlimited Light final, stepped out of the boat, and ran down to get into his H1 Unlimited. So Jamie at least doesn't have to go very far. The boats are pitted right next door to each other.
Oh, but Jamie's so young. He's only
young.
He's a young one. He can handle it.
And talk about an athlete. You've got all the stats right there, Michael, I'm sure. This guy is quite, or was quite, the baseball player.
No doubt.
Found himself into the Kansas City Royal organization and spent a year with them, and believe it or not,
he wanted to keep racing.
He gave it up and said, I want to keep racing. So they have put the lid down.
He's a father of 2, and his wife, Jessica, I believe, is just on the other side of the start-finish line watching.
Special thanks on our broadcast to Chan Chiropractic. Some people walk around in pain every day and think there's nothing they can do about it. Call Chan Chiropractic and Massage. They'll take care of it. Start feeling better today. Go to chanchiro.com. Also, thanks to the Wallowa County Chamber, Wallowa Lake Tramway, the home of Oregon's most rugged outdoor experiences. It's just spectacular. Awesome fishing. Ride the tramway to the Summit Grill on Mount Howard. Plan your trip at WallowaCountyChamber.com. You don't want to miss it. All City Transmission, small local business that supports the community. When you're looking for auto repair you can trust, it's All City Transmission. Also thanks to Rich Krigler, former farmer's agent, now Krigler CIA Insurance in Richland. Call Rich Krigler today. Right over by Denny's in Richland.
U11, Michael, Jamie Nelson coming out at you, the reliable diamond tool boat.
And a 150.592 earlier in his first run in this qualification session. Shannon and Scott Rainey, the owners. J&D's presents reliable diamond tool, the 11, into Freedom Equipment Rental turn number 3 and Buffalo Brothers turn number 4. And that's right where you see that little patch of rough water that's just kind of staying in that area. Onto the front stretch, across the Bosch Thermador start-finish line and down the front stretch, and we'll get him on the clock for another hot lap in his second run in this qualification period, which will officially end at 3:35 this afternoon, and then we'll head into some heat racing. Dash for Cash will wrap us up tonight with the H1 Unlimiteds, and we'll try to get that full field announcement as soon as we get it out of the pit reporters, thanks to A1 Refrigeration coming up. So up the back stretch, Jamie Nielsen.
He looked smooth down there, Michael, but wasn't really flying out of the turn.
Dialing things in, finding the combinations that work, and as we found out earlier, sometimes you head the wrong direction. Up into turn number 3. And a really fast run around the top end of the course. Getting a little light into Buffalo Brothers turn number 4. The rough water wasn't there near the exit pin. Smooth run onto the front stretch. And Jamie Nielsen on the clock at the Bosch Thermador Appliance start-finish line, and a 152.350. So that's about 2 miles an hour faster than what he was able to produce earlier in this qualifying session. Into Agri-Service turn number 1 and over to Tire Factory turn number 2. Kelly.
He's flying, and he's bouncing a little bit, walking on the sponsons as it comes around, but a good turn, good exit. Out of the exit pin and back down the straightaway was a good speed, Michael.
Yeah, definitely looking solid on the water. And we say that sometimes. And I know you actually run faster when you're loose, but you don't want to sacrifice any of the equipment on day 1 of a 3-day event.
Yes, ask the Perkins. They had a lot of work ahead of them. So maybe if you got a moment, Brad, if you could go find Brian Perkins and his crew to see what the latest is on that escape hatch, that'd be great.
Excellent water in turn number 4, Buffalo Brothers onto the front stretch. Did swing out a little bit wider this time. Carrying a lot of momentum, a lot of air underneath the boat, trapped underneath that sponson. And across the start-finish line, a 154.175 miles per hour. So about 4 miles over what he was able to do earlier today. And by the sounds of it, by the look of the rooster tail, I think he's kind of dropped off the pace a little bit heading into Agri-Service turn number 1.
But now he really kind of gave it a little more power, Michael, to see what he could do in this turn. You're right, but now he's kind of backing off it But he did put the power to it going on the turn number 1 when he started.
Last year, this boat qualified at 152.302. So Jamie's a brand new driver in this boat. He's never driven it before, and he's really got it figured out really quick.
Well, he's hopped into a good ride.
Yes, he did. You know, that team works very hard all year long to get this boat out onto the water and keep it up. It is a beautiful boat. The colors are just sharp for pictures.
Into turn number 3, and again, he's really backed off the throttle. So this will not be a hot lap, and we'll mark him down for a 154.175 as fastest lap in qualifying for the 11. J&D's presents reliable diamond tool. After the races, after qualifying, head to Bob's Burgers and Brew, 2 locations in Richland and in Kennewick, serving only the best burgers, appetizers, beverages too. Go to bobsburgersandbrew.com. Also thanks to G2 Construction, a proud supporter of the annual Water Follies and the Tri-Cities community. Think of building and not sure where to start? Make G2 your first call. G2 Construction. And Brutzmann's Office Solutions, the leader in innovative office design and so much more. It's Brutzmann's Office Solutions. We'll take a timeout. Special thanks to Farmers Exchange, bringing you all the excitement of Water Follies coverage on News Radio 610 KONA. And you need to stop in. Right now, they have special savings on handheld power equipment. Ready, set, no. That means no sales tax. They'll cover it for you at Farmers Exchange, historic downtown Kennewick. Brands like Echo, Redmax, Shinawa, and a whole lot more waiting for you, commercial or for the homeowner. You'll find it at Farmers Exchange, service to back up every purchase. Find out more at mowerhome.com. More of our racing coverage coming up from the HAPO Columbia Cup next on News Radio 610 KONA and 610KONA.com.
The world's fastest shirts for the world's fastest boats. Hydro fans get their gear from Atomic Screen Printing and Embroidery. Get official Water Follies, H1 Unlimiteds, and vintage Hydro shirts and more from Atomic in Columbia Park near the pit entrance and on the Pasco side in the Vendor Village this weekend. For promotional products, graphic design, high-volume rush orders, see the A-Team at Atomic Screen Print and Embroidery, 329 West Columbia Drive in Kennewick, or atomicink.net.
This month, Northern Quest is giving away four 4x4
Most people know the Tri-Cities for the Hanford Nuclear Reservation and its role in ending World War II. But a little more than 50 years ago, that all changed.
In 1966, they decided to hold a hydroplane race. At that time, this was a national sport. That was a big league thing to step up to do. And that brought attention to the Tri-Cities in a way they'd never really had. You know, ABC, Wide World of Sports came and broadcast not just to the Eastern Washington, but the whole flipping country about Tri-Cities and hydroplane racing. And that's how people first saw, and the rest of the nation, saw how beautiful this city was.
David Williams is the executive director of the Hydroplane and Raceboat Museum.
At the time, back in '66, the hotbeds were Detroit and Seattle, and that was the big rivalry. Well, you know, fads change, things move on, and the sport is still a big deal in Seattle, not like it was. And Detroit is sort of struggling, but man, Tri-Cities, they're going strong, and it is now as big here as it ever was in either of those two cities.
Located in Kent, Washington, it's safe to say it's not your typical museum.
The reason is this sport is about technology. It's about knowledge. And if you don't use knowledge, you lose it. So if we didn't run the boats, if we didn't rebuild the engines, then before long, that knowledge is going to be lost. We're running boats that were built in the 60s with engines that were built in the 30s and 40s. There's no one left alive who was around in 1930 when that engine was designed.
Williams is also helping keep the sport alive by writing about some of the interesting characters of hydroplane racing.
And one of the really amazing guys in this sport was Meyer Slovak. He was a Czech immigrant born in Czechoslovakia before World War II, hijacked a plane to come to the U.S., worked for the CIA, worked for Bill Boeing, won hydroplane races, won airplane races, was a stunt flyer, was the first guy to fly a glider across the Atlantic, for goodness sake. And I've been lucky enough, before Myra passed away, he asked me to write his biography. You can come down to the pits during water follies, and I'll sign a copy for you at the pits. So I'm very proud of how that book has turned out.
Through it all, the ups and downs of the sport, one of the few things that have endured is the tour stop in the Tri-Cities.
This sport has resonated in Tri-Cities because it just is so visually spectacular. You stand out here and you look at the beautiful blue water, and you see Rattlesnake Ridge there in the background, and sometimes the sky gets a little streaked with those wispy clouds, and then you see a hydroplane coming from this magnificent glistening white rooster tail. I mean, I've done this my whole life. I've been coming here literally for 50 years, and there are times when I'll either be in a boat going up the backstretch, or I'll be standing on the dock, and I just can't help but go, wow, that is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Until the next lap, and I see another boat, and no, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Vignettes brought to you by Legends Casino and Hotel. LegendsCasino.com.
Freedom Equipment Rentals, your locally owned Wacker-Neuson dealer located in Pasco.
It's the 7 Boitano Homes with Bert Henderson earlier in qualifying 152.744, but was thrown out because of a fuel flow violation. So back out on the clock, and first lap of 148.424 miles per hour. I understand Kevin Rounce is now up in the air in our Freedom Equipment Rental, turn number 2 with Tire Factory. Kevin, good to have you on board.
Hey, good afternoon, gentlemen. It's and ladies and Kay out there. It is a gorgeous day out here. Can't get much better than this.
Top end of the course, bright red, the 7 Boitano Homes into Buffalo Brothers turn number 4 to the exit pin and on the front stretch after a 148.424 miles per hour. We'll catch him across the Bosch Thermidor Appliances start-finish line and a 149.693 miles per hour heading down the front stretch towards Agri-Service turn number 1, and our A1 refrigeration pit reporters Glenn Boggin and Brad Luce.
Yeah, the young man out of Brockville, Ontario, Canada, on the race course and actually on the river for the first time ever today, and in this beautiful U7 Boitano Homes. He's right in front of Kevin Rounds. Kevin, he got in and out in a hurry.
Oh, he did. He took it a little wide as he got to the apex of the turn, but he dove right back to the sponson, or right back to the top pinnacle of the turn, and was just flying going down the backstretch.
And that top end of the course looks like it's smoothed out after some rough water that was up there earlier. Into Freedom Equipment Rentals turn number 3 and off into Buffalo Brothers turn number 4. He's way outside that lane number 3 at the exit pin onto the front stretch. And we'll catch we'll catch one more hot lap. Let's get the speed real quick, Glenn.
Okay.
150.278 miles per hour for the 7 Boitano Homes with Bert Henderson. Glenn.
All right, we're down here with Jamie Nielsen, looking back just a little bit. Congratulations on re-qualifying. It's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, it feels great. I mean, coming into the weekend, that was, our primary goal. I'd say 1A was getting qualified, and we can check that off the list now. And 1B is just to continue getting comfortable in the boat. So each time out there in this J&D's presented by Reliable Diamond Tool U11, I mean, feeling more and more comfortable and excited to see what the weekend holds for us.
Talk to us about getting comfortable in that boat. I think most of us, we think getting in a car, there's some minor differences between your old vehicle and your new vehicle, but that's not the case with these boats.
No, not at all. I mean, even in the Unlimited class, 2 boats might look alike. They could even be built by the same builder, and they're going to handle completely different. So it's a matter of fine-tuning things. The big skid fin, I mean, just a 16th or an eighth of an inch tweak can make a huge difference. So, we're getting after it. We're getting better each time out, and I think our speeds are showing that, and just trying to continue taking steps forward.
Getting 1A off that checklist, feeling pretty good. Use that for momentum going into Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. So we're excited to keep building on that, and I got a long way to go to feel comfortable, but to turn a 154, I mean, that's a good starting point for us, and it's definitely not the ceiling for us, but it's a place to start.
All right, Jamie, great, thanks.
All right, thanks a lot.
Michael, back to you.
Thank you very much, Glenn. And our pit reporters, thanks to A1 Refrigeration. It's all about comfort. And if you're not comfortable at home, then you definitely need to give A1 Refrigeration a call because they'll take care of that for you. Also, thanks on our broadcast to Richland Auto Care Center. Speaking of comfort, how's that air conditioner in your car? It's being worked out pretty hard today with temperatures now moving into the mid-90s. And we'll top out somewhere around 99 degrees coming up later this afternoon. It's the Richland Auto Care Center. It's the Napa Auto Care Center, and that means it comes with a nationwide peace of mind warranty. Nationwide warranty. And they'll make sure that your air conditioning is throwing out snowballs. That's how cold it'll be. You may want to have mittens handy, even though it's the middle of summer. Richland Auto Care Center. Find them on Facebook for special offers, and they're on Terminal Drive right over by the Columbia Basin Racket Club. So back out on the course, and again, the top speed for the 7 Boitano Homes with Bert Henderson, requalifying at 150.278 miles per hour after the fuel flow violation that occurred in his first attempt out on the Columbia River course. We had 2 boats that had a fuel flow issue. It would have been Bert in the 7 and also the 1918 with Jeff Bernard. Let's go back down to the Neil F. Lamson pits, A1 Refrigeration pit crew, and Brad Luce and also Glenn Boggin to see if we have any other hydros ready to roll on out. And I guess that would answer my question.
Yeah, we've got the J. Michael Kelly's heading out in the 12.
Don't forget, after we're all done here, International Brotherhood of Electrical Worker, Local Union 112 wrap-up show. The hydroplane wrap-up show will be coming your way right after we conclude with our Dash for Cash coming up later tonight at 5:05. Kay, what are your thoughts about qualifying so far?
It has been a great qualifying. We've got those 2 and 2 violations we had with
Boitano, the
with
7.
Boitano. Yes, with Bert and with Bert and with Jeff. Sorry,
Bernard.
You caught me off guard. I'm
Yeah,
packing
with
up my
Bernard.
stuff. I've got to get out of here. And
Oh,
go.
you do?
I do. I'm sorry.
She's been forced to relocate.
I have been. I'm going to switch radios over here for a little bit, but I'll definitely come back and talk to you in a little bit. But
Well,
I do have to check out and switch sides.
You know, it's nice to have you as a color commentator because you are truly so colorful.
I'm so cut. My bright blue shirt, my blonde hair.
It has to do with who you are.
Oh,
your personality.
Oh, my personality.
There
Well, it's
you go.
almost as good as Brad Luce's.
All right, well, let's go back out to the river, and it's the 12 Graham Trucking with J. Michael Kelly out on the course. First time for qualifying, and we'll see what the boat has to offer because it has looked extremely good so far in testing today. Across the start-finish line and heading down the front stretch. And you know why they call them hydroplanes? Because they barely touch the water, and that is the goal for the driver, to maintain that just off the water. Gorgeous sight coming at you, Brad.
Yeah, that was, man, he was really, I mean, he just was, you called it so perfect. He was just barely touching the water. That right sponson was just touching it, and then it would lift up and just hang there for 3 or 4 seconds and tap it again. But that's where the speed comes from. He's looking to beat, I think, a 152. Is that his top so far, guys?
Yes, that is correct. So J. Michael Kelly out on the course, and we'll go into turn number 3. Freedom Equipment Rentals up to Buffalo Brothers turn number 4. And we'll see that he's in lane number 1 at the exit pin. Onto the front stretch. We'll catch another hot lap for J. Michael. And that boat is just barely touching the water. That's a really nice ride. 152.263 miles per hour heading down the front stretch. Agri-Service turn number 1, Brad.
Yeah, he just picked up the left sponson that time, and he's got to set this thing down before he gets to the corner. He's able to do it, but when he really starts floating it like that, he doesn't dare try and turn the boat. And that's going to put him out a little bit wider and cost him some time. But, Kevin, he's right in front of you and off the corner.
Yeah, and he is. He goes in tight to the turn, but he can't keep it on the buoy line, so he has to get swung out a little bit to maintain that control. So he is losing a little speed down here in turn 2, I think, and then heading straight up down the backstretch, trying to pick up that speed.
And it looks like another good, solid run, but nothing that's going to probably come close to Jimmy Shane in a 161.603 in the HomeStreet. Turn number 1 very tight on the, turn number 4 at the exit pin, very tight on the exit pin, and lane number 1 coming across the start-finish line. And it doesn't look like he's flying it like he did in lap number 1, although it's a better speed, 153.599 miles per hour. We do have a little bit of a breeze that has picked up a little bit coming in out of the northwest. Down to Agri-Service turn number 1, guys.
Yeah, he's through the corner. I thought that was his 3rd lap he just finished. Apparently not, because he's still on it in front of Kevin.
Yeah, that was a better turn for him down here in 1 and 2. A little bit less speed, I think, trying to get in and out of that turn, which is helping him a little bit in terms of staying on the buoy line. But that's where he loves it. J. Mike wants to be in lane 1. That's where he knows his best shot to win is, so he wants to practice on it.
Guys, I did take the opportunity down in the pit area. I cornered Andrew Tate down there and asked him about the lumps up there at the top end of the race course. And he just looked at me and said, "Did you see that?" And I said, "No. From down here, I couldn't see it." I said, "But boy, our crew on start-finish line sure did." And he says, "I don't know what that was all about." And he said, "Then it hit me again." He said, we're gonna talk about maybe changing a skid fin and angles. And so what you guys saw up there was certainly real.
Final lap 156.049 for J. Michael Kelly in the 12. So his fastest lap. And I would say, Kevin, deceptive speed.
Well, sometimes, I've heard it as a NASCAR fan, them say sometimes you have to feel like you're slowing down to go faster because you're going to get a better handle on the vehicle, in this case, the boat. And that might have been what he did. I could be wrong. I'm an untrained eye up here, but he definitely didn't seem to have quite the speed coming through 1 and 2. But it might have allowed him to better handle the boat and take the turn a little bit better.
Yeah, deceptive speed. His fastest lap, the final lap, 156.049, and we'll catch him as soon as he heads back to the Neil F. Lamson pits. Joining us at the start-finish line here, and our points recap sponsor is Perfection Miller Paint. And if you know anything about Miller Paint, they've been around the Pacific Northwest for a long, long time, making paint here that's designed for here. It's Bob Deno from Perfection Miller Paint. And Bob, maybe you can tell me a little bit about what makes Miller Paint right for us here in the Tri-Cities.
Well, we're made in the Northwest, and it's hard to find any companies anymore that are truly made for the Pacific Northwest. And so our formulation is a little different for our weather. Our colorant itself is different than anybody else's colorant to withstand the direct sunlight and then the moisture that we get over on the west side.
Sure. But and I guess when you say, well, if the color holds longer, that means you have to paint less often, potentially.
Very true. Yeah, it's a big deal because a lot of the houses that you see now being painted are the darker colors.
Sure.
So you want it to last, that extra 2 or 3 years doesn't seem like much, but it is. The paint is not breaking down.
Well, let's just say if you're painting it, it means a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah, it does.
Because that's a lot of work.
Well, it is. Yes.
So you have everything that you need for painting projects, and I think that's the best thing. The expertise that you find at Perfection Miller Paint, when you walk in that door that automatically opens for you, it'll open up a whole world of knowledge to help you get the job done right.
Yes. What I like is that every employee in our store, we know paint, and we're very good at what we do. We're an employee-owned, so each employee has a little bit of, stock in the game.
Sure.
And that's all we do. We match paint every day, all day long, and we perform, we deliver, and our everyday low pricing.
And a lot of people think, well, it's contractors that come in all the time. But if you, and we found out, Jenny and I found out when we were doing our bathroom and some other projects around the house, it's just immeasurable to get advice that makes the job easier for you when you don't paint every day.
Yeah, and the good thing that we do is each one of the employees get to do their own project, get to use new materials, and just learn. Like from Julie and I, we have almost 70 years in the business, and we love to be able to transfer our knowledge onto the younger staff that we have now also.
Awesome, and a big help. And the colors are just awesome, and that's the other thing too. There's such a wide array of colors available.
Yeah, our new design center, the store is now almost 5 years old.
Wow.
And so our design center is pretty much the nicest one you can find. Yep. And so, there's over 3,400 colors.
Yeah, everything you could possibly imagine.
Yes.
Well, Bob, thanks for being with us. Thanks for being on the broadcast.
Well, thank you, Michael. I appreciate it again.
Bob Deno from Perfection Miller Paint. They're just off Steptoe on Victoria, kind of across from the McDonald's over there, and by Motoring Services Auto Repair. And that is Perfection Miller Paint. When you want it done perfect, that's where you need to stop first. Bob Deno, thanks for joining us. We have some other guests that will join us here. I want to check in first at the Lamps and Pits and our A1 Refrigeration Pit crew to see if we have anybody else headed out onto the river right now.
Well, we certainly do, Michael, and it's that powder blue and white boat from the city of Madison, Indiana that Jimmy Shane likes to drive and drives so very fast. Wasn't sure we would see them come out for a second run because nobody was able to eclipse their top qualifying mark, but the boat is in the water and the lid is up, the crew is on the deck, and Charlie Grooms, the representative owner of the boat, is standing right above us up in the corral, so he'll be talking to Jimmy when he's on the course. Expect him here shortly.
Did I miss an update from you guys on the 99.9? Because I saw that H1 tweeted out an update.
Well, I don't know what H1 tweeted out, but I did go down to the boat, talk to them. They are still searching for a solution. They do not have one yet. They did trailer fire the boat, and it ran fine on the trailer, but there's still a gaping hole, and crew members have told me they are still looking, and they plan to do some diving late this afternoon, try and find that one they lost.
Yeah, because I know that this is again from the H1 Twitter feed. They're going to look for the hatch after the water is closed tonight, so it doesn't look like they're getting out here. But they do have a backup option where there's a plane headed to Seattle because they think they might there be a replacement over that direction. So
there we go.
There is a possibility the 99.9 is flying for help in the truest sense of the word tonight.
That's awesome news.
Here
because,
comes Jimmy.
You talk about a needle in a haystack. Can you imagine finding that hatch at the bottom of the river? I mean, even if you had a pretty good idea where it fell off, just kind of picture it moving back and forth in the water until it gets to the bottom, and then you never know what's down there that might, muck that might make it extremely difficult to find. Now, we do have a special guest up here. I want to bring in Rennie Price. And if you saw any of the HAPO Over the River Air Show, you had a chance to see Rennie out there. And tell me a little bit about your Sukhoi. And how much fun it is to fly, Rennie.
Well, Mike, first of all, it's nice to meet you. And to your audience, thank you so much for listening today. Hopefully you'll get out here and enjoy the waterfalls. The boats are absolutely amazing. The airplanes are also fun. And if you need to stop me, because you got a boat out there,
he's got to go around one time before we get him on the clock.
Okay, cool. Anyway, the airplane I fly is a Russian airplane. It's a Sukhoi Su-29, and it was designed to win gold medals in aerobatic competitions back in the 80s. And these airplanes did, and today they're still doing pretty good in international competitions. A very strong airplane, very agile airplane, and it's just a blast to fly.
And Rennie, how long have you been doing this? How long have you decided that you just couldn't fly horizontal?
Well, I started flying in 1969, the year almost to the day that Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin walked on the moon. And, I knew pretty quickly that flying airplane in 3 axes made a lot more sense. I spent all my career, as an airline pilot, and I'm still flying corporate jets. But, flying an airplane in 3 axes it's just, why else fly, right? It's just like your boating guys here. I mean.
And how special is it, Rennie? Final question for you. How special is it for you to actually be part of an air show like this?
Oh, this is not like a once-in-a-lifetime event, but, for an air show pilot, it is, because the boat guys are so incredible, and we're so impressed by what they can do on the water. People say, hey, you guys are a little goofy. We're not goofy at all. These guys are goofy. Anyway, it's so wonderful to be here, and thank you so much for taking the time, and I'd ask your audience, please come out, because this is a very special event. And it's just a blast. Thank you so much for having me.
Rennie, awesome to visit with you. We hope we have another chance to catch up again tomorrow.
You bet.
Rennie Price, Sukhoi, the 29, the Russian-built plane. Hey, we've got a 162.419 on the screen for Jimmy Shane. New fast lap, beating out his previous 161.603.
Watch him tighten up that corner at the top end. He can get a little bit more.
The river has laid down completely, and there's just a little bit of a breeze freshening up out of the northwest, which would cut across the course towards the Pasco side from the Kennewick shoreline into Buffalo Brothers turn number 4 onto the front stretch. The boat just rides amazingly smooth coming on the front stretch.
And it's so solid.
Across the start-finish line, and I don't know what happened to our speed, but that is not correct.
One of those.
It's measuring about 4 miles per hour, and I'm not quite sure why, but we'll try to catch him on this, what would be his final lap, but we have an error on the clock on that last lap. What about turn number 2, Tire Factory turn, Kev?
Oh, he is looking so smooth out of here. That thing is right to just barely touching the water, staying tight to the buoy line. He looks like he's almost clipsing the yellow buoy right here in front of me as he exits turn 2 to go down the backstretch.
Michael,
yes.
163.200, 163.200.
Wow. Okay, we'll watch him as he heads into the top end of the course. Rattlesnake Mountain, partially burnt in the background after the fire a couple weeks ago. That was a perfect turn at the exit pin. Could not get any closer without hitting that buoy. Across the Bosch Thermador start-finish line. And still, we've got an error on our end on the timing system, so we'll have to get a speed down there, Brad.
I'll get it. You take it.
All right, he's backing off the throttle and heading back to the Neil F. Lamson pits. And we have another special guest to join us from the air show. Mark Peterson will join us. And maybe, just like we saw Jimmy Shane so smooth out there on the water on that run, maybe the smoothest entry, hold on just a sec, Brad, smoothest entry from the Alpha Jet, our pilot, Mark Peterson, is here. Hi, Mark.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Good to have you on the broadcast. We'll get back to our interview in just a second. Brad, go ahead.
Just real quickly, 163.5, 163.5.
Well, it's convenient that he's going with even numbers there.
Well, I think there was a couple other digits.
All right,
I
that's
have to
good.
go a flight of stairs, and I lose, with every 4 steps, I lose a digit.
Okay, that's fine.
That's the way it works.
Try to stand still if you can.
Thanks.
Back to Mark Peterson and the Alpha Jet. Tell me about that plane. It's just gorgeous.
Oh, thank you very much. It's a neat little fighter. It was developed in Europe for the French and Germans. It was a joint venture between Dassault and Dornier. And it's used both as a trainer and a ground attack fighter for the Germans and the French.
And how long have you had the pleasure of flying this plane?
I've been flying it since 2007. This is my 13th year.
And what got you off the ground and to be a pilot? What led you to that type of profession?
That was my dad. He got me started when I was 6 years old, flying a small airplane.
Nice.
So, yeah,
Nice.
been doing it every minute of every day I could.
So what is the progression to go from a pilot of a small single-engine plane to a jet and doing air shows?
There's lots of different ways to do that. I mean, some people, spend a lifetime doing it like me. I've kind of worked my way there very slowly. Other people do it very, very quickly. And a lot of it is really dependent on just getting good training, good mentoring, good folks helping you out. You can't afford in aviation to make the mistakes that everybody else has made, so you got to get out there and try to learn from the mistakes of others and avoid those.
So tell me about your show and what you like best about it.
Boy, that airplane is like a little German sports car. It handles like it's on rails. It's incredibly fast. It holds energy very well. It's got great thrust to weight, so it accelerates very, very quickly. And it rolls as quickly as you can think. So I just love the way that it carves around and goes wherever I point it. My absolute favorite maneuver is that inverted pass. Flying upside down at about 300 feet at about 450 miles an hour above the river is a lot of fun.
I know that a lot of people will stand up and wave. Can you actually see them from the shoreline?
Oh, you bet.
And I would imagine you're not waving back.
I'm not waving back.
Have your hands on the controls.
Well, I'm focusing on a few other things.
What's the most challenging maneuver for you?